because of the public's outrage sparked by the original JFK film 30 years ago, Congress passed the JFK Records Act. And that was signed into law by President George Herbert Walker Bush before he left office 30 years ago this week, as a matter of fact, October 26, 1992. Now, that law mandated that all the assassination records must be released within 25 years, which would have been 2017. And that brings us to Trump as president. Trump said he was going to declassify everything, right? And then he didn't. And we'll talk about why he did that. So basically, he kicked the can down the road. He postponed it twice. President Biden has postponed the release, twice now? Once? Twice? Twice. And basically, the government's been dragging its feet now for 5 years on that. So this Thursday, just this week, the Mary Farrell Foundation sued the Biden administration and the National Archives, and they're demanding the immediate release of all these secret documents that they're still holding on to. And I know this lawsuit's been in preparation for over a year now, and I was really happy to hear they finally filed it. So let me play you this report real quick, just to kind of bring people up to speed as to what's going on. And Biden's getting sued.
All right, more news from here in Washington. The Biden administration and the National Archives are being sued for postponing the release of thousands of the most sensitive documents related to the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. The delay has fueled the government cover-up conspiracy theories about one of the darkest days in our nation's history. Here's CBS's Ed O'Keefe.
President Kennedy died at 1 p.m.
The mystery behind the assassination of John F. Kennedy in an open motorcade at Dealey Plaza in Dallas stretches almost 60 years. And the new lawsuit alleges President Biden and the National Archives are dragging out the release of about 15,000 documents related to the November 1963 killing.
These records need to be made public because they tell us about a very important event in American history.
Jefferson Morley is with the organization suing. He's a longtime skeptic of the CIA and says until the documents are released, Americans are left to wonder whether anyone besides accused shooter Lee Harvey Oswald was involved.
Is there a bombshell about officers who knew about the accused assassin while JFK was still alive? Well, let's see the records and we can decide.
Most of the documents are from the CIA and could reveal other secrets, including Cold War operations carried out by American intelligence agents and a plot to kill Cuban dictator Fidel Castro. It was the 1991 release of the movie JFK by director Oliver Stone.
So what really happened that day?
That fueled conspiracy theories and prompted a new law ordering the release of the documents by October 2017. But former President Donald Trump pushed off the release to President Biden, who's ordered them to be released by mid-December. In his statement, the CIA says it's still working to declassify the documents and take out any other sensitive material. If the current plan holds, the documents should be released by December 15th. Nora?
All right, we'll be waiting and we'll look at them. Ed O'Keefe, thank you.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know if we'll be looking at them or not.
Well, I don't believe Nora O'Donnell's going to look through 15,000 pages of documents, even on her spare time. Okay, let me quickly sum this up. Yeah. Okay, this is a good way to close. When Oliver made his movie, he put this crawl at the end about the files of the House Select Committee, the last inquiry into Kennedy's death, are classified till 2029. This created a sensation. And so the Congress had to respond. All right. And so they put together this 5-person citizens panel that had the right to go ahead and force the agencies to declassify. Now, about 2 million pages got declassified, and a lot of that information is in our film, all right? Or if it's not there, it's in the book, all right? Now, the problem was that they didn't have enough time to do this massive job. So they put phased release dates on some of the documents, like 2001, like 1999. They closed their doors in 1998. But that wasn't even enough. And what happened is neither the Intelligence Committee in the House nor the Senate took up the cause and neither did NARA, the National Archives. They didn't do it either. So Trump delays it first for 6 months, then for 2.5 years, and it bridges over to Biden. Now, Biden declassified, I think, 1,400 pages last year, and he said the rest will be declassified this year. But this lawsuit, if you read it, it's 42 pages long, says that it looks like Biden is preparing to defer another year, because his language, and it's quoted in the document, the lawsuit, is that please, and this is to the CIA and the FBI and the State Department, please defer if you do not believe that the document can be classified in toto this year. Now, let me ask you a question, Rick and Lori. 59 years later, does anyone really believe that there's an operation still going on from 1963 that needs to remain secret to this day? Does anybody really believe that there's still an agent in place 59 years later? These guys retire 30 years on. Okay.
That's one excuse. And then the other excuse that Biden used last time he kicked the can down the road was he tried to blame COVID.
Right.
He said, well, the National Archives was closed for a year because we were under lockdown and nobody's working, so we're going to have
now,
to
you know what's
that.
funny about that? What's so funny about that excuse is that, Joe, they had 20 years to do this stuff.
25.
Okay.
25.
So you're going to say that now COVID stopped everything in its tracks?
Right.
Okay. Come on, Joe.
Give me a break.
You got Bobby Kennedy's statue in your office. You've got JFK's painting in your study. Don't you think, as an Irishman, you should come forward and say, enough is enough? Let's get it all out there now.
Man, I'm nodding so hard in agreement, my neck hurts. I mean, every time you see Joe Biden in the Oval Office, he's always got that bust of Bobby Kennedy sitting behind him, right? He claims that Bobby Kennedy's one of his biggest heroes and JFK is one of his biggest heroes. He even plagiarized Bobby Kennedy back in the 80s, remember? He stole from some of Bobby's speeches, plagiarized them word for word. So he's this big Kennedy buff, and yet he won't declassify the last of these files. What the hell, man? And we've got, I think the deadline is December 15th.
December the 15th is supposed to be. Now, remember, the original deadline was 2017. Okay. That was the end of the road as far as classification went.
5 years ago.
So supposed to be. Right.
Yeah.
So now here we are in 2022. Okay. And these people have to sue the White House. They have to sue NARA in order to get this stuff out. And then people keep on saying, well, that's just a conspiracy theory. Okay. Yeah, sure.
Well, let's find out.
Exactly.
Where's the documents?
As they say in the legal trade, people with nothing to hide don't hide things.
Right.
Okay. But here we are.
Right.
So do you have a theory? Why don't they want these released?
I believe that the CIA does not want to bow down to anybody. They want to keep their prerogative that they're above the law, and they don't have to obey an act of Congress. They don't have to obey a presidential. Okay. That's what they're all about. Okay. And in fact, I think Thunheim told this story in the film. He was the chairman of the ARB. First meeting with the CIA, they put a document on the screen, and Thunheim says, "What on earth could you object to in declassifying that document?" And the CIA liaison there was a silence for about 30 seconds. He said, "Give me a couple minutes, I'll think of something." That's what these guys are like. They really believe that they don't have to obey the law. And Thunheim told us, look, if it would have been up to the CIA, we wouldn't have gotten anything from them. When the FBI went in, they went in with their liaison and their lawyer. And Thunheim said, look, see this document? we're going to declassify it. Okay. Whether you like it or not, we don't see anything objectionable to this. All right. All right. So we're going to go ahead and let this one go. And the FBI liaison taps the lawyer on his arm and he says, can they really do that? And the lawyer goes, yeah, they can.
Yeah, they can.
Okay. So that's what these people are like, you know?
I wanted to quote, there was a piece about this lawsuit in NBC News this week, and they spoke to Robert F. Kennedy Jr., friend of the show. He says it was a momentous crime, a crime against American democracy, and the American people have a right to know. The law requires that these records be released, like 5 years ago.
Yes.
It's bizarre, he says. This is the son of Robert Kennedy. He says,
Yes.
it's been almost 60 years since my uncle's death. What are they hiding?
Mm-hmm.
And
Very good. And he's a lawyer.
And he's a lawyer and a
Yeah.
damn good one, too.
Mhm.